So in today's video, I want to go over the 4 most important things that you need for wildlife photography. Now, first of all, if you've been following my videos have been from Australia, and I'm actually about a year backed up on my videos. I still have about 20 to 23 more to edit from my last road trip in Australia. Because right now I'm in Yellowstone National Park, and this is where I've been living and working for the last month, and I'll be here until October. But I do want to kind of release a few more tips videos and informational videos, and I'll be dropping those in between my Australian adventure videos, which I'll still be releasing hopefully every week on my road trip from Cairns down to Sydney, and my last few weeks in Australia there. So let's hop right into it here. The first thing that you need for wildlife photography would be a DSLR. Now, it doesn't have to be the biggest high dollar one. For a long time I shot with a Nikon D3300 and I was able to get some pretty good results. But you do want a DSLR or even a mirrorless. Mirrorless has come a long way, and a lot of people have do wildlife photography with a mirrorless camera. But you just want something that you can change the lenses on so it can be a little bit more versatile and be able to get different lenses. Now, I shoot with a Nikon D500, which is a pretty good wildlife camera. It only has 20 megapixels, which isn't that much in regards to some of your higher end DSLRs, but this one is good for wildlife photography, also being a crop sensor, because it helps with my big lens. It helps give me an extra half the amount of reach, so I have a lot of reach. And also with the D500 it gets 10 frames per second, which is really nice in capturing action, because those 10 frames you can just hammer on the shutter button and get every little intimate picture of the animal and just hold it on there and keep getting different ones. This also has a good 3D tracking function, which I haven't used too much. I haven't had too much luck with it. I usually just use the back button focus and just refocus each time. But yeah, so definitely a good camera to invest in to do some good wildlife photography. And then item number 2 would be a good lens. Now, I use the Tamron 150 to 600 lens. It's a pretty decent lens. It is the G1 model, which it does have a few shortcomings. Like I can't shoot with it all the way zoomed in at 600 millimeters. I always back it out to 550 because I feel like at 600 it's just not quite as sharp. So I'd rather shoot at 550 than crop it down just a little bit to maintain some more of the image quality. But you don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars on the huge f4 prime lenses or anything like that. For a while with my Nikon D3300, I just used the kit lens, the 55 to 200, and I was able to come away with actually some pretty decent images. That's if you just have the right light and just the right subject. No matter what you're shooting with, you should be able to capture something good. And also the 150 to 600, it does have a lot of reach, which is very beneficial because usually you see wildlife pretty far away, but you can even get away with something with the 200 telephoto distance or the 300. You just need somewhat of a telephoto lens because obviously with the animals they're going to be pretty far away, so you want to try and bring them in as close as possible. And unless you're shooting with a 100 megapixel or 50 megapixel camera, you won't be able to crop in that much without losing a lot of the image detail. And then the third thing you need for wildlife photography would be a pretty good tripod. Now, I have the Manfrotto 0 to 55. It's a carbon fiber model, and it's also the 4-section one. I got the carbon fiber because it's a lot lighter, and the 4-section because it's a little more compact, which makes it carrying around a lot easier. Because when doing wildlife photography, at least me, I do a lot of hiking and a lot of searching for the animals, so it's nice to have something smaller and a little lighter. And for a tripod head, I used the Manfrotto 502 video head, and now I actually used a ProMaster gimbal head for a while, which that works real well as well, but I just got this video head, the fluid head, because it's a lot more smoother, and I'm trying to do a little bit more filming of the animals and all that, so this makes panning and everything a lot more smoother. But you do want some sort of either gimbal or video head because you really want to make sure you can be mobile with the camera when you're tracking animals, because just a normal ball head kind of flops around and everything and you can't pan it smooth. So you want a nice sturdy tripod with a nice head that you'll be able to pan so you can follow the animals. And now the fourth thing you need, it's actually not an item, and it's the cheapest one on the list by far. It's just knowledge. You need to have the knowledge of your camera. You got to know how to shoot it and know how to adjust the settings on the fly, just because with wildlife, it's a very opportunistic type of photography to where that they're always moving, always changing, and if you're driving around, you might have to stop real quick to get an image. So you got to be able to know how to adjust the camera settings almost by heart, just because you don't have much time to adjust before you take the image. And if you spend too much time fumbling around with the settings, then the animal would go away and you'll miss the shot. And also, not just knowledge of your camera, but knowledge of the locations and of the animals themselves. Now, before I go out to shoot a subject, I'll do a lot of research. I'll read a lot of books, look online for a lot of things, just so I know their habits, where they frequent, their tracks, their scat. So I know animal signs and where they're going to be, because with finding animals, you got to make sure that you know them a little bit. So it makes it so much easier, because then you know where to go and what to look for when you're trying to photograph a certain animal. And also, like with elk in the Rocky Mountains, you won't want to come in the summer to photograph them, because they won't have their big antlers. That'd be something more towards the fall and winter time you'd want to come photograph them. Just really know your subject and know your gear, and it can help a lot with wildlife photography. Now, I've been doing wildlife photography for about the last 6 years, and these are the 4 items that I think are most important, because without them, I wouldn't be able to take the pictures that I do of the animals that I've seen. But of course, there's a bunch of little other things that you could buy that could make the photography a little bit easier, but I think these are the 4 most important. Well, there's actually some elk over there on the other side of the meadow that I might try and sneak up and take some images of. It is the middle of the day, so it's not going to be the best photos, but still might be able to get something, because I actually did see a bear as I was hiking in. I was parking at the spot where I was going to come record this video, and I saw a whole bunch of cars stopped, and I was watching, and then I looked and just saw the flash of a bear dart across the road, and it was actually heading this way into the bush where I am now. So I might try and look around for him a little bit too. But I don't think it's in this area, just because the elk are over there and they're not skittish and haven't moved, so the bear probably went a little bit more to the south. But yeah, there's my 4 most important things that I feel like that you should need for wildlife photography. So I hope you found this video informational and beneficial to you, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.